gonna pay no electric bill, no. Don't worry about her business, she's gonna sell that deal. If you're too scared to approach her, I know how you feel. If you're too scared to approach her, then I guess I will. She's got that old time swagger with that new school touch. It's not if you love her, it's just how much. She don't want no bad boy or boy toy either. Just some respect for a boss, señorita. Don't give her no line, I just heard it all before. Show her something true, or she'll show you the door. You gotta treat her like a person, not a score. She'll leave you proud in pieces, and your jaw on the floor. She's got that old time swagger with that new school touch. It's not if you love her, it's just how much. She don't want no bad boy or boy toy either. Just some respect for a boss leader.
Troy, 1870. Nice to see you. Mary Hart, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess you say it fair. If I were the same, I would love to see you smile at me. Walk the shore a mile with me. If I were the trains, I would love to shake you with my leaves. Or clean the air for you to breathe. If I were you, sing with me. I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. If I were the earth, I would love to give you all that you need, but you keep taking more from me. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love, sing. I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. Should it be so bad to want to do something good when this world tries to bring us down? I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love true. I would love, I would love, I would love. If I were a book, I would love to educate the youth. Open minds just by telling the truth. If I were a pen, I would love to write to you, friend. I'd be so proud of the love we send you. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love, yeah. I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. Should it be so bad to wanna do something good when this life tries to get us down? anyone won't melt me down and make me something fun. If I were you, oh, I would love, I would love, I would love, sing.
I'm looking at the hands wrong. It's actually 10:35. So anyway, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you all. I want to give a big hello to the people out in the virtual world, especially Denise Prawl, a member of our community here who is now living in Missouri. So just want to send love and blessings to you because I know that you watch on Sundays, and it's nice to have you with us. It's also good to have Brigitte with us in Colorado, and anyone and everyone else out there in the virtual world, let us know where you are so we can say hello to you as well. And to you guys, it's good to have you all here today. Welcome. Hopefully it has been warm enough for you. Nobody is chilly this week. Yeah, it's been, we live in Temecula and it's pretty brutal out there, you know. Even when the dogs are trying to chase the squirrels, they're all walking. It's just kind of, you know, they have to stop and take a breath. But anyway, it's nice to have you here today, and I'm very excited about things. And we have Craig. Yes, I know, it's really good to have Craig. So we're always in a treat because he's just an amazing poet. And I was listening to a lecture by Isaac Asimov, and he was saying something interesting. He says, Isaac Asimov says that the closest thing to screenwriting is poetry. Isn't that interesting? He says poetry and screenwriting are very similar in how we do things. So he encourages all writers to study poetry. And so we have the Center's Poet Laureate here today, this morning, wherever it is. We're thrilled to have you. And we, of course, have Jim and Lee here and everybody else that's here. And you're here, too. So it's just more fun when you guys are here. So with that, and just more good things just keep flowing in. Look at that. It's just a river of good. Nice to have everybody here. So what was I going to do? I'm going to start with our question of the day. Oh, no, I'm going to do announcements. Thank you very much. That's what I'm going to do. Is that what I'm going to do? I'm looking at you, honey. What am I going to do? I'll do announcements. Okay, so I'll do announcements. So we are the Hilltop Spiritual Center, and you are welcome here. And what else is coming down the line here? We have today is the fourth Sunday of the month, which means we do a New Thought in the World conversation after service in the Emerson room, or we might meet in the big room because it's warm and the air conditioning's better there. So that just kind of happens. So grab something to eat, and then we'll circle up. And New Thought in the World is pretty much unscripted. We just kind of, if you've got something going on you want to talk about. If not, I'm easily distracted. And then the first Sunday of the month, which will be in 2 weeks, we are doing our book study on Lord of the Rings, which I'm really excited about. I've got all kinds of interesting stuff on that, so I'm having so much fun. And so if you are new or interested in participating in the Lord of the Rings study group, our assignment is by the first Sunday of the next month. Not assignment, because you don't have to even read it if you don't want to, just want to be in the conversation. But we're going to be all the way to where the Fellowship of the Rings arrives at Rivendell. So get to Rivendell, and we'll all meet up in Rivendell, and we'll have some fun there. Because, you know,
to say that, right?
in every journey in the Legendarium, you pass through Rivendell. Whether you're coming or going, it's the place to be. So anyway, that's happening. And then there was something about prayer. Oh, yeah, the art of prayer and meditation. That is, Paul Calabro is doing a class, which we're very excited about. That's going to be starting September 17th. And it goes through November 5th, and it is an 8-week class on the science and the art of prayer. He'll be covering all kinds of titles, and he's the perfect person to be teaching that. So, and it is an accredited class, and so if you're interested in taking a class, it'll be on Zoom. Or live. It will be live, not on Zoom. And anyway, so there's more information for you and me there. And then prayer. Oh, well-being in the Dow. This is fun. Well-being in the Dow with Jim Jones. So his class is every Sunday at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And anything you want to say about it? I know you're getting ready to launch your book, huh? Okay, Jim and I were talking earlier today. We're going to do a conversation probably the first Sunday in October, and no one knows this because we're just making it up. We're going to do a thing on free will and determinism, which I think will be kind of interesting because so that will be first Sunday in the month. So that's happening. Lord of the Rings happened. Got the Art of Meditation's happening. Open Mind Gift Shop's got all kinds of fun and cool things in it, and Ministry of Prayer. So. Couple things. If your heart's touched in any way today, please do not leave without prayer. And there's ways you can do that. You can talk to any of the practitioners here in the room today. And let's see, the practitioners that we have are Terry and Andrea and Craig. Just ask them for prayer. They'd be more than happy to sit down and pray with you. About 10 minutes after service, Craig will be leading a prayer circle in the Emerson room. So you can go there and that's always kind of a fun healing circle to do. You can fill out a prayer request in the narthex there, and the practitioners get together every Friday morning, and we pray together, and we. I've done all the announcements, I think, right? Help me out, guys. Magdalena, and mantras with Magdalena, which is not to this Sunday, which is to be announced. Okay, to be announced. But in the meantime, here's our question of the day. The question of the day is, think back on this last week. Just this last week. And think of something that surprised you, and as a result of that surprise, changed your trajectory. You thought you were going one way, and then you got surprised, and you're going someplace else. Okay, you want to jump at that, Jim? Sure. Okay.
This is a tough one, given just a week for something that changed the course of your life. This last week I've been diving deep into a particular passage in the Tao Te Ching, speaking of, and it was really interesting because it spurred some discussion and research into state formation of all things, and really gave a different direction on where we're going with some of our talks in the Tao Te Ching. So if you're interested in finding out more on that, Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock.
I think the thing that surprised me the most this week was, I think it was the first time I left my son. I usually just text him, but I was driving, so I left an audio text, and I realized, and my son's 16 years old, and it's just a logistics thing. I left the food in the fridge, whatever. But as an Australian who's lived here for 21 years, I noticed my accent going in and out with different people. Like certain Americans, I'll pronounce my Americanisms really strong. But it's the first time I really left a voicemail on my kid's phone, and I'm like, I was like, what's my actual accent speaking to my son? I had to think about it. So it just set me into a kind of like a philosophical, like, who am I after 21 years in this country? Like, what's the real Australian American accent coming out? So it's just made me like ponder all that story.
All righty. How about you, Craig?
I'm glad you extended it beyond this week, because I didn't see that for some reason. So I'm going to tell you two.
Okay.
One goes way back, and like you, I was a good Catholic boy. I was an altar boy. I did 12 years of parochial school, and I was groomed to be a scholar. I don't think at your level, but I did apply myself and did really well. And I found myself after one semester of college making a decision to drop out and take up a backpack and hitchhike around the Southwest. That changed the trajectory of my life a lot. And then another more recent one, probably within the last couple of months, we've had some visitors, my sister-in-law and her son, and just observing them, having dinner with my wife and saying, do you think Aaron, the nephew, would be better off living with us? Not that I really thought I wanted another child in my life, but he is now living with us, and that is certainly a different trajectory than I ever imagined.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's got me thinking, there's a sign in my neighborhood where there's some Rottweiler puppies, and I'm thinking, do we want another dog? And apparently we don't.
They're just Rottweilers too.
Yeah, because our dogs aren't big enough, and we don't have too many of them, right? Yeah. So for anybody else, any surprises? I'll come down today because Craig will do it. Good. Even good. Anybody surprises that change your trajectory? All right, hands are up.
This is an opportunity for me to brag a little bit. I was very surprised to get a ribbon for one of my paintings, which I've been doing art there for 3 years, and it's my first ribbon, so that was a surprise. But then also, I felt compelled after an incident to write a letter to an editorial for the newspaper, and they printed it. And I'm finding myself really strongly wanting to do more than the letter. And then I also did something I've never done before, which was I went to the Writer's Read, and I actually read some passages from my Love Now book, and I also read the article. And the article got rave reviews, and so I'm feeling kind of in a flux right now, but I think something exciting is going to be happening, and I feel really guided to make a difference in the world.
Hi, I'm Carrie. I am going through lots of changes in my life, but I recently started a new job. I'm 62, not that easy to do, but wow, has it been great. And I'm working with several 20-somethings. And even though I have a 29 and a 31-year-old, I feel like this generation is sort of getting a bad rap because I am enjoying every minute of these young kids. They are my peers. I'm learning so much from them. They're learning from me. They're smart and worldly in a different way, and it's just exciting to have that opened up. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? There we go.
I spent 5 days up in Northern California with my son, who underwent quite an extensive oral surgery. And as he is recovering, his girlfriend broke up with him. And so it was quite something. And I was extremely worried. And yet, we are heading back to his place, and he says to me, "Mom, it's okay. Right now, I'm working on my spiritual life." Nice. And I went, wow. And what I got out of it is that there is just so much you do for your children, and there is a moment when they take over, and it's okay, and you can let go.
Yeah. Right on. Anyone else? Just kind of feels like there's one more. Or not. Oh, there is one more. See,
Where is it? Kara.
This is something I think many people may know already, but my house burned October 3rd, 2023. And it was funny because even that night, as we're sitting and the animals are safe and looking at our house go up in flames, I felt a sense of peace. It's like I knew something else was coming. And after that, I discovered another way of thinking. I went back to coaching, and I'll write another book. It's like all of a sudden, things that I studied for years all combined and made sense. And I can trace it back to that time, that moment. I knew something was changing, and it's like knowing you're called to something. So now I look at it and say, even if your house burns down, that can be a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Right on. All righty. Anyone else? You're on.
Okay, well, first thing, good morning. Welcome to the Hilltop Spiritual Center. And Reverend Guy, thanks for posing that question. I love the interaction of the community and hearing, what's going on with all of you. And also, Lee Coulter and James, thank you for your music. It's so uplifting and inspiring. And I think every day I sing, "It's a beautiful day on the planet I love." Some of his songs just kind of work their way into your consciousness, right? So let's begin at the beginning, which is prayer, which is to bless this event, knowing that this is a sacred gathering, and we are sacred beings. And we have this body, which is the temple of our spirit. So let's just inhabit this body, first of all, just by letting it relax. Just feeling how, when you're sitting, you're supported. When your feet are on the ground, you are connecting with the very earth that is the grounding of our lives. And just letting the body relax. Neck, shoulders, arms, legs. And allowing yourself to receive the fullness just in the breath. And as you exhale, just giving back, just letting go. So it's from this place of being present that we are present to what is always present. Something unnameable, something indescribable, and yet we keep doing our best to name and describe it. I call it Spirit, God. It is just something beyond names, and yet it is not only apprehensible, but it is indwelling in all life, and therefore in our lives. So we just acknowledge this presence in all of its glory, in its beauty, and its majesty, and its good. Certainly like the sun, this giver of life, it is life itself, and therefore giving this unstoppable, continuous, increasing outpouring of warmth, of radiance, of love, a love that creates. And therefore we are the product of this creation. Just by the fact that we're here, alive, breathing, thinking, feeling, sensing, we are blessed. We are blessed with this life. And so we are blessed to know that not only is this indwelling presence among us, but it is everywhere. And it is amplified perhaps just in consciousness as we come together, as we unify in this consciousness, as we experience heaven on earth. And so what I'm knowing then is that the words of Reverend Guy are indeed inspired, that he is following his path to know Spirit and to share that inspiration with us. Truly a scholar of Spirit, of life. And that through the music, as we have said, it's an inspiration. It is putting into melody and song and rhythm just the glory of life, the beauty of life, and all of its trajectories, ups and downs. We're grateful for that. We give thanks that we have each other. For in each other we have support and strength, and we are reflecting and having reflected to us this life of Spirit. So this is indeed blessed. We are blessed, and I know that as we are blessed today, we bless around us. And so it is. Okay, so for a while we have been exploring this topic that Reverend Guy has brought to us called freedom from discord. And in listening to his last few talks, we have been invited to just look at our lives, look at what we believe to be true, what stories we either tell ourselves or stories that we've taken from our culture, our family of origin, from religion, and see if they are in some way limiting our imagination of what is possible. And so I touched base with Reverend Guy earlier this week. I'd like to get a feel before I choose a reading or a poem, like, where are you going to go with this? And so he said, well, I'm thinking of going to a place of freedom from control. And based on what I was just telling you about listening to his talks and kind of looking at our lives and really like wondering if what we believe and think, it limits us, maybe limits our imagination, and therefore what we can co-create with Spirit as our life. This poem immediately came to my mind, and I think it addresses really the limitless nature that is our true identity underneath all the layers of thoughts and beliefs and how we live our lives, whether they're the beliefs of our culture or religion. So it's called Only Breath, and it is another poem from that 13th century mystic saint Sufi guy, Jalaluddin Rumi, and it's called Only Breath. Not Christian, Jew, or Muslim. Not Hindu, Buddhist, Sufi, or Zen. Not any religion or cultural system. I am not from the East or the West. Not out of the ocean or up from the ground. Not natural or ethereal. Not composed of elements at all. I do not exist. Am not an entity from this world or the next, did not descend from Adam and Eve or any origin story. My place is the placeless, a taste of the tasteless, neither body or soul. I belong to the beloved. Have seen the two worlds as one, and that one called to and know. First, last, outer, inner. Only that breath breathing human being. So let's take a few moments now in contemplation. We'll hear our bowl ring, just inviting you to come to your own contemplation of freedom from control, freedom from discord, and just the unlimited nature of who we are. So allow yourself to come back to this room and take that sense of listening in the quiet of contemplation to listening to music and listening to inspiring words.
Slow it down, everybody, slow it down. Slow it down, everybody, slow it down. Bow your crown, everybody, to the ground. Everybody, slow it down, everybody, slow it down. Let it go, 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 go slow, go slow. Everything's just one beat, no more, so slow.
Sound like a crystal ball.
We're all looking for something from the time we enter. We're all looking for something until we're back to center. Are you looking for something? Is there not in the room? Are you looking for something? And does it feel like doom? Let it go, 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 oh. Go slow, everything's just one we know. So flow, let it go, 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 oh. Go slow, everything's just one we know. So flow, now breathe, surrender. Breathe, surrender. That heart extender, just breathe. I'm gonna breathe, surrender. Breathe, surrender. That heart extender, just breathe. Now let it go, 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 oh. Go slow, everything's just one we know. So flow, let it go, 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 oh. Go slow, everything's just one. Jim Jones always, brother.
I think I caused that thing. All right. So our kind of our ongoing theme has been this idea of being free from all discord. Something that the founder of our particular denomination, Ernest Holmes, had talked about in a manifesto that he wrote about himself personally about what he believed. And one of the things that he believed is he believes that all humans are, we're called to live, to experience a freedom from all discord. And what that looks like, and I've been kind of playing with that theme. And sometimes, you know, the idea of a surprise, right? An idea of a surprise and how a surprise can literally kind of change the trajectory that you're in. So I was thinking about that this week, and sometimes a surprise is just the obvious looked at differently or maybe just aware of. And I was thinking to myself, you know, because I'm noticing the changing of light at our house, and I know the weather is really hot right now. What that reminds me of is soon it's going to be autumn. And then I thought, well, and here I am starting another year of ministry. What? What a surprise that was. And I thought, well, if I'm starting another year of ministry, what does that mean for me? And I was having a conversation with my writing coach, and she was saying, well, Guy, if you are there again this year in the pulpit, what is it that you haven't said that you want to say? Or what is it that has been unsaid that needs to be said? And I really pondered that a lot. And the conclusion that I'm working with right now is, I don't know. And I think it's good that I don't know, Something that Hartman Rosa talks about is this idea that when we try to control the world, when we try to control things, what happens is it becomes more uncontrollable. He talks about how a controlled world is a dead world. And that instead of seeking how we can master the world, it's more important for us to seek resonance with the world and see what then emerges. And so I think for myself then, what that looks like is, what is mine to do is to study. What is mine to do is to pray. What is mine to do is to allow myself opportunities for surprise and amazement, and then allow the subjective to kind of reveal itself. It's something that I've been talking about, and it's what Tolkien talks about all the time, is we cultivate our imagination as a tool that allows us to enter into the imaginal, which is a real place. Tolkien called it the land of fairy, but it is that enchanted creative thing, and all of us have it. All of us are invited to develop, to strengthen the quality of how we imagine, which is how we enter into the creative process. But it doesn't come from trying to control. What I offer is it doesn't even come from our conscious mind. It comes from the subjective. And because the subjective connects us with everything, and it's that idea of learning how to live in resonance. Because when we're in resonance, we're in connection with everything. And you've experienced that, I'm sure, that moment where you're kind of feeling connected to yourself, and you realize as you're feeling connected to yourself that you're actually connected to everything else that's going on. And there's that sense that you're part of something, because that really is one of the most basic spiritual insights we can have, is that we're not alone, we're not isolated, we're not separate, we are complete within ourself, but we're part of something greater than ourself. And there's an invitation to participate at that level, as opposed to think that we're isolated and that we're on our own. You know, again, this idea of controllability, Hartmut Rosa in his book, The Uncontrollable World, talks about that what has happened is we have sort of embarked as a culture on this idea of just, you know, if we're trying to control it, it means we have to kind of accelerate. We have to go faster, better, more. And that idea of faster, better, more begins to wobble. And you know, and it doesn't take, you know, a Gene Dixon, I'm dating myself, or any kind of psychic or any kind of special knowledge to realize that if we follow this accelerating trajectory that we're on, first of all, what we know is that everybody's working harder but not advancing. We're paddling as fast as we can just to avoid slipping back. And the outcome of this, of course, is going to be just total collapse, whether individually or personally. So it's more about attending to, I'm getting feedback. Thank you. It's more about attending to, and that idea of opening ourselves up in whatever ways that we do that. And you know, one of the things that happens for me is I kind of look at all the different ideas of deities in all these different wonderful traditions, or the starry world, or all these kind of archetypal images, as a way of embracing an aspect of myself, but also as a way of touching into something that is universal beyond myself. Does that make sense? You know, so let me give you a personal example if I can. Lately, I've had this real calling to be very aware of the goddess Lakshmi. And the goddess Lakshmi is, you know, there's something, first of all, what I would offer is this, is, you know, there's an old metaphysical concept, which is, If you honor the God bestows upon you the quality of itself. And another way of saying that, I think, is if we honor the archetype that is wanting a voice through us, then the archetype will bestow its quality. Women are Lakshmi. All women are Lakshmi. So if I look at any woman, I am looking at the image of the divine as it expresses itself in this quality of who Lakshmi is. You know, the companion, the bestower of goods, the nurturer, the lover. And you know, what happens with me then is I have to look at what's going on within me that keeps that vision from being clear. And a personal example is this last summer has been, as some of you guys know me, has been a really challenging year for me. And part of the challenge has been 3 women that I've had to work with. And you know, what I'm being invited to is to no longer look at them as, say, Stitchin' witches, or those 3 women, the 3 women in Macbeth, you know, the double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble, those women. But this is Lakshmi. These are Lakshmis, and they're wanting a voice. And if I can honor that voice, if I can be present to what they are wanting to say, then I am open to the gift that they can bestow from that. Am I making sense what this is? A little swirly, but go with me, because I'm going with something on this. And so it's one of the reasons why I have such a devotion to the idea, the concept of Jesus as the Christ. You know, Jesus as the Christ, not the Christ as Jesus. Well, or I guess it's both ways, but you know, the Christ consciousness is greater than any one person, but it's embodied in this person. And part of that embodiment that inspires me is that as I understand Jesus, he always embraces humanity rather than paying fidelity to the law. He always embraces life as opposed to empire. And there's an inspiration in that for me as I try to find my own footing, my own path, my way. And I think we look at our spiritual heroes, we look at the archetypal world, we try to live not just a day-to-day life, but a mythic life. We try to get our nourishment from the quality of entering into the imaginal and seeing where it wants to direct us. And I had this experience this week as I was reading an article in The Guardian. So there was an article in The Guardian about this woman. She's 18 years old, she lives in Greenland, and she had a baby, and the baby was less than an hour old when the protective services took the baby from her because she failed the competency test of being a mother in Greenland. So you know, kind of where I went with this is wherever you're going to go with that, you're welcome to, because I see some of you gasping and clutching things, and hear me out on this. But so, you know, there's a part of me that's a socialist enough to I think that the idea that parents should pass a competency is a good idea. There's a part of me that's libertarian enough to just realize how horrific that thought is, because, you know, who among any of us is qualified to decide what someone else should be and how they should act? So was somebody going to applaud? You don't have to. Okay, but you would applaud on that one. But what I think about that is that, you know, Lakshmi, right? Lakshmi. And how we approach her and where she is. This woman is an expression of Lakshmi as a mother. And how do we honor motherhood? I think of all those young women that were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and his consort, Ghislaine Maxwell, and what an interesting expression of Lakshmi that is, right? But all these young Lakshmis that had been abused and defiled, and the beauty of their womanhood stolen from them. I think of all those mothers and young women that are experiencing a genocide in Gaza, and in a world that is complicit in their destruction. All these Lakshmis that are abused, defiled, killed, murdered, slaughtered, victim of a genocide. I think of the complicity of what that looks like for us in a world in which we ignore that, and I think of my own personal anger when I look at our political leaders on both sides of the spectrum that are afraid to use the word genocide because they've got to follow the rules, they've got to follow the money, they've got to do whatever. And so we hear them giving pious platitudes and wringing their hands and wishing thoughts and prayers and all this other nonsense, but it's the follow the rules, because isn't it interesting how we can always find an excuse to be complicit in something? Isn't that interesting? We all do it one way or the other. And I was thinking in this week of this story that's in the Gospels, and it's a story of a woman. And as the story goes, and there's four kind of interesting players in this story, but the story is of a woman who, it says, for 18 years had been victimized by this oppressive spirit. Now, I don't know what that means fully in first century Palestine. I don't think any of us know, but what we know is this was a woman for 18 years, her life had been destroyed. She was probably a beggar. She was probably dependent on other people. She was probably bent and broken at some level or another and needed to depend on other people. And she was a broken person. She was broken. And it says that Jesus on the Sabbath day calls her out. And the word that is used is he liberated her, not cured her, not healed her, but liberated her from whatever this oppressive condition was. And then, of course, the authorities come out and say, well, you're breaking the rules. You're not supposed to heal or liberate people on the Sabbath, for God's sakes. That's against the rules. You can't do that. And Jesus says, you guys are nothing but hypocrites, because you use the rules and bend the rules when it's to your advantage, and then when it challenges your authority, all of a sudden you're like, hey, rules are rules. We got to do it this way. That's how it is, right? But I think that, and it says what happens then is the crowd applauded. And part of the story was written because of this idea of what the Sabbath is. What does the Sabbath mean? What does a people who were enslaved in one land, how do they learn to live to be free people? What does it mean to unplug from all the things that we're enslaved to, at least for one day, to experience that sense of liberation? Another way of saying that is, what does it mean for us to take at least one day a week to enter into the imaginal? Abraham Heschel, who was a Jewish philosopher, theologian, and writer and civil rights activist, he says, that on Sabbath we find anything that we may be enslaved to, and we lay it down, whether that be your cell phone, your job, your whatever the case may be. What hooks you? And can you take one day a week and unhook from something like that? So in a sense, Jesus is giving that idea. But again, the brilliant of the story is that Jesus is choosing humanity over the fidelity of a law. But I want to circle it one step further. And that is to play with this idea from a deeper metaphysical position. There's a great New Thought teacher by the name of Neville Goddard, and not just him, someone like Charles Fillmore, was the founder of Unity. They invited us to look at these stories almost from a Talmudic point of view or almost from a Kabbalistic point of view, which is to say, is to take the story and make the story very personal. And so I sat with the story this week, and the first thing that that came to me is in the mythic world, the soul is always depicted as a woman. It's the feminine. It's the woman. And so at what level, the question that I sat with, at what level was my soul bound? Maybe not for 18 years, but for each and every one of us, when we have ignored the soul, or the soul is in bondage, the part of us, the essence of us, the sum of all of who we are, is held in a bondage. And then there is that part of each and every one of us, we would call it the Christ consciousness, the identity with the divine self, however you want to call it, that calls it out, that recognizes it and wants to liberate it. And yet we have that other part of us that's arguing for the rules. How many times do we argue for our limitations? Well, I can't do that. That's against the rules. I shouldn't do that. It's not time. I'll wait. When this happens, I'll do that. Whatever the story that I tell ourselves is, all these little stories we tell ourselves about why we cannot liberate our soul and how inappropriate that would be. And yet here is a story where it does happen. And then what happens? It says that the crowd rejoiced. In other words, our body of affairs, everything about us rejoices when we let the soul free. So interestingly enough, Plato says that in the Republic, he talks about how the education of the soul is remembering. Because in Greek myth, of course, when a soul, and there's one parable that is told in the Republic, they're putting this soldier on the funeral pyre and burn him up, and when souls get ready to take rebirth, they drink from the river Lethe, as in lethargic, and we are all born in a state of amnesia. And so the word that is used often in the Gospels for truth is aletheia, which means to not forget, to remember. And so the liberation of the soul is the truth of remembering. The education of the soul is one of remembering. It doesn't need to learn anything new. It doesn't need to have another whatever the case may be. It just needs to have its bondage removed from it, and she will do just fine. The energy of Lakshmi or Guadalupe or whatever feminine idea or archetype that you may have is complete within herself. Our soul is complete within itself, and it just needs us to stop putting rules and regulations, and it should be this and it should be that, it should be that, to just free it. And we free it by allowing it to remember who it is. We free it by allowing ourselves to enter into the imaginal. We allow ourselves to go into the imaginal by cultivating this idea of imagination. You've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again because I think it's really important, which is this, is that something that Robert Sardillo wrote in his book, Freeing the Soul from Fear, is that whenever we become traumatized, whenever we are afraid, whenever we experience something that creates fear in our life, our imagination flatlines. And so the most important thing that we can do by cultivating our imagination is feeding it. And how is the imagination fed? It is fed through amazement and wonder and awe and surprise and reverence. And there are tools like gardening or walking your dog or reading a book. What nurtures your soul is what strengthens your imagination, which gives us the capacity to enter into the imaginal, which frees the bonded Lakshmi in every one of us. We live in a world where there's not just a war on the soul, but as a result of a war on the soul is a war on women themselves. We live in a culture. I mean, you read crazy things every day, like Christian nationalists saying that women shouldn't have the right to vote, or that men should be the head of the household, or that women who are in very competent positions are being fired for the very fact that they are a woman, and that's the only reason. And all of that is a result of a collapse of the imaginal that has to do with a weakened imagination, that has to do with a culture that is based more on fear and creating anxiety and wanting to control as opposed to wanting to live in resonance. Dr. Holmes says we see the condition on the outside and we heal it on the inside. There is a lot of pain and there is a lot of hurt in the world, but where we are complicit is where we are wounded. Where we are complicit is where we have bound the woman. And so the first thing that we can do if we want to save the world is to save ourselves. In fact, that's what the Buddha says, There's a saying where he says, you want to save the world but one? We all want to do this and march for this, and yet keep our own selves in bondage. So what I love about our teaching is that it actually is a practical and a pragmatic mysticism, meaning that we can look at things from this mystical place, this archetypal place, this imaginal place, and oh, by the way, we can offer tools to get there. And so what I want to just offer you as a contemplation is something that I have been working with as I am working through this, as I am trying to see the Lakshmi in these three women, and it's working, is to affirm. Dr. Holmes created an affirmation where he says, I am a center of divine consciousness within the vast whole. Consider that. Say it quietly to yourself. I am a center of divine consciousness within the vast whole. I am a center of consciousness within the vast whole. The idea of consciously saying that is a way of loosening the bonds, because you can feel that. You can feel the expansiveness of what that happens. And when we begin to practice this, when this affirmation, this simple affirmation begins to take hold within us, we begin to experience a sense of resonance. That sense of resonance then brings us to a perception of reverence. That place of reverence then is the guide of what we should do next. We don't need to control it. We don't need to push ourselves. But as we enter into the imaginal, what we find is that archetypal energy itself is not driving us. It is luring us to the next indicated step. To save the world, we must love the world. To save women, we must love women. To save Gaza, we must love Gaza. To save our nation, we must love our nation. And that comes from a place of resonance, not control. Thank you.
Let's sing.
I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world. I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world.
And I shine.
And I shine and I shine so bright, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. Turn to someone and say, you are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light.
There we go. How about that one? Okay. Reverend Guy, I'm glad that you're on the threshold of another year. Yeah. Wow.
You switched to Rev's mic. It's on Rev's mic.
Hello. There we go. Whoa. I feel empowered. So anyway, this is our time of conscious giving. It's pretty simple, right? We come here and we do feel inspired. And when we feel inspired, it just invokes just our natural nature to be givers. So I invite you, however you give, whether you have your gift in your hand now, whether you've given online, whether you're going to Venmo later, or whatever it is, whether you serve in the kitchen, we appreciate you, we honor you, we bless you, and all of your gifts make a difference. All of your gifts allow Reverend Guy's ministry to continue, the music to keep coming, the classes, oh my God, the classes. I hope that some of you really take advantage of those. They are life-changing. They changed my life. And you know, the art of prayer and meditation that Paul is going to be teaching just gives you an amazing way every day to listen through meditation and to speak to that divine, right? Through prayer, through learning spiritual mind treatment. Okay, so thank you, bless you, and so it is.
People coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have to, but you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. The people coming through.
So as we're doing our conscious giving, I can't help but think of Gary Richard, who is always so stalwart and coming forward every day, every Sunday. And he had a health challenge this week. I spoke with him. He's doing much better, but we'll just hold him in prayer and send him lots of love and look for a speedy recovery and a speedy return here with us all. So again, if you're wanting to join the Tolkien group, you are more than welcome. You don't have to read it if you don't want to. But if you want to be prepared, read it. Or if you don't want to read it, Andy Serkis's audio rendition, reading The Lord of the Rings, is absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. I just finished The Fellowship of the Ring, listening to it, and it was just, man, I loved it. And so do that. The movies are cool, but the movies are not the books, because there's characters like Tom Bombadil, who's not in the movie, that we will be discussing at length in our group. So I'd love to have you there with us on the first Sunday of every month. New Thought in the World will happen a little bit after service day. Grab something to eat and go with that. I'm going to invite you to let our musicians eat first, because they came in early doing sound checks, so we'll just honor them. I want to thank Mike and Steve for making us sound good today and getting all that. And I know that Kurt and Deanna and Ann and Julieta and Mike were in the kitchen, so send them some love. There's all kinds of cool things going on in the gift shop, so do stop by and check that out. It's another way that you can support us, but also just kind of find some really cool things. And I want to thank the greeters today. I saw Susie was there, Chris was there. Terry, were you greeting this morning? Or you were just hanging out, I think. But wherever Terry is where the party is. So we just thank her for being here, because wherever it is, that's where it is. So, and all of you, just thank you for being here. If I've forgotten somebody, please forgive me. It was only done because there's so many people doing so many. Walter was greeting. Of course Walter was greeting. Yes, Walter was greeting. And Walter is singing. And Walter is a good soul. So, that's that. Let's eat, let's talk, let's continue the day. Thank you all for being here. Thank you guys in the virtual world for hanging in with us. And again, our blessing today is this: may each and every one of us today and tomorrow and the day after that and even after that find an element of surprise, an element of wonder, an element of amazement. Maybe we experience the joy of love and community. May we experience the lure of spirit to our next indicated step. May the earth be a better place for you and I, having come here together, creating a safe place to give and receive love. And we bless it all. And I also want to send a special blessing to Daniel and Taya, who are, at least Daniel, I don't know about Taya, but Daniel is at Burning Man this week. Whoo, boy, blessings on that one. So with all that, many blessings, and so it is.
All right, here's a song about freedom from discord. Sing the chorus if you know it.
I was born in a crossfire hurricane, and I have and my mom in the driving rain. Yeah, but it's all right now. Matter of fact, it's a guys, but it's all right. I'm jumping jack flash, it's a guys. I was raised by a toothless beating hag, and school with a strap right across my back. Yeah, but it's all right now. Matter of fact, it's a guy's, but it's all right. I'm jumping jack flash, it's like guys. I was washed up and left for dead. I fell down to my feet and I saw they bled. Then a frown at those crumbs on the crust of bread. I was crowned with a spike right through my head. Yeah, 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 but it's alright. Now, matter of fact, it's a gas, but it's alright. I'm jumping jack flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for singing along. All right, let's eat.